So, first piece of news this week comes from Blizzard. So, apparently, a new hero for Overwatch has been teased. They've released a very short, and I mean very short, clip on their Twitter account, basically teasing what many are claiming will be a new hero. So, there's a picture of a lot of like graffiti artwork and posters in the background, and we see an image of a monkey or an ape of some kind. Not entirely sure, but essentially Winston in the game had a roommate or partner, friend of some kind called Hammond, and he is apparently, well, possibly going to be the new hero character they're adding to Overwatch. So, sometime after the Horizon lunar colony, there was some kind of revolt between the animals that were kept there and the humans, and something happened. You can go read up on the Overwatch lore if you're interested. But basically, this new hero character that Blizzard is teasing for Overwatch is apparently going to be this ape called Hammond. So I'm kind of curious to see what exactly will be shown. I don't know if he's going to be the same as Winston. I really don't know much about this character, since they rarely ever mention him in the game, like the lore content for Overwatch. So he's definitely going to have very unique abilities, I think. So I'm really curious to see just what Blizzard is going to announce, and a lot of Overwatch fans like myself are very, very excited to see just what this new character is going to be like. So, Nintendo and Microsoft joined forces to release a brand new Minecraft trailer that essentially shows off the crossplay between the two platforms. So, as you all probably know, Minecraft on the Nintendo Switch and Xbox One can crossplay between each other, and this is actually really funny because in the past week or so, there's been a lot of drama surrounding Fortnite on the Switch and Sony PlayStation, because they're one of the only companies that does not allow crossplay. So what happened was, a lot of fans are kind of taking this as a diss at Sony by Nintendo and Microsoft, kind of like a friendly jab of sorts at the fact that they play games together on the same system or on the different systems. So Nintendo Switch players can play together, or they can play with Xbox players, and the slogan for the trailer is like "play better together" or something like that. So it's kind of funny considering that with the PS4 version of Minecraft, you cannot play with Nintendo Switch or Xbox people, so kind of curious how that works out. I, for one, really hope that Sony starts paying notice to this and allows crossplay between systems, because that's something that I think they really need to start doing. So, it's still a funny trailer. You guys should check it out. Nintendo is really going for it recently. There was also a tweet at Xbox sometime around E3 that the Nintendo official Twitter account said something like, hey Xbox, do you want to play Fortnite together? And a lot of people really found that funny, so I think I'm remembering the tweet correctly. Perhaps it was the other way around, but yeah, I really like that Nintendo and Microsoft are kind of in a good relationship right now, both joining forces against Sony, it seems. So that's kind of funny. Speaking of Nintendo, Twitter released a list of the top 10 most discussed games, the conferences. So here's a list of the top 10 most mentioned, discussed like tweets from E3. Apparently number 1 was for Nintendo, which makes a lot of sense. They had a really good conference. Second place was Xbox. A lot of people were talking about Xbox on Twitter. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is third place, so a lot of people were very interested in seeing what this game was going to offer, so that makes a lot of sense. Fallout, a lot of people were talking about Fallout. That's not a big surprise coming in fourth, since Fallout 76 was shown at both the Xbox and Bethesda conferences. PlayStation comes in fifth place. So that's kind of bizarre that they're behind Xbox and Nintendo this year. Less people talked about PlayStation's conference. Kingdom Hearts is sixth place. So at number 6 we have Kingdom Hearts. I guess a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans were discussing the game. It was shown at like 3 conferences, the Square Enix, PlayStation, and Xbox conference, so there was a lot of trailers to talk about. Ubisoft is at 7th place. The Ubisoft conference showed games like Assassin's Creed and Beyond Good and Evil 2, The Division 2, and yeah, it makes sense they're at 7th. They had a pretty good show this year. Elder Scrolls is at number 8. Bethesda did announce the game during their conference, and there are a lot of Skyrim and Elder Scrolls fans out there, so it would make sense that it's at 8th place. 9th place goes to Hideo Kojima's game, Death Stranding. A lot of people were tweeting about Death Stranding, probably wondering what in the world the game was going to be about, since I'm still confused by the trailer, but yeah, it's 9th place. And 10th place goes to Fortnite. So, according to Twitter, the 10th most discussed thing on Twitter during E3 was Fortnite. And yeah, that's pretty interesting. If you ask me, the top 10 list of the most discussed things on Twitter, subjects or discussions people had. So that's interesting. Games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Kingdom Hearts 3, Death Stranding, that makes a lot of sense since they're extremely popular games and lots of people want to discuss them with their friends on Twitter. So, interesting list. I always like reading like top 10 lists from Twitter or other websites following E3 just to see what was the most popular. Next, the Nintendo Switch game Octopath Traveler, an RPG that I'm really looking forward to. Square Enix revealed this week that the game will have 0 DLC, so 0 downloadable content. You won't need to buy anything extra. The developers expressed very strongly how they feel that a game should be a complete game, and that it's about 60 to 80 hours long, and they felt no need to add additional content, so props to them. I'm really happy when games do this. I still am not a big fan of DLC content. Sometimes it feels like you buy a game and you have to buy expansion packs and like DLC packs, a season pass, and it just gets insane. So I really like it when games just release the game and that's all there is to buy. So props to them for doing that. Dragon Quest XI. The developers behind Dragon Quest XI talked about the Nintendo Switch version that was announced, and basically they went on record to say that the Switch version of Dragon Quest XI is going to take much longer than the PS4 version, simply because they did not start development on it until much later. So fans of the Nintendo Switch and the Dragon Quest series are going to have to wait probably a little bit longer. after the PS4 release for a Switch version of the game, so I'm not disappointed since I'm probably buying this on the PS4 just because I prefer the better graphics. But having a portable version would be very, very interesting, so who knows, if it's decent, I might double dip in a year or so when it comes out for the Switch. So next, we have some more Dragon Quest news. They asked the developers if they had any news regarding a Dragon Quest III remake. And the developers expressed interest in making a remake for the third game in the series. They said it's something that they would like to do, but there are no plans at the moment, and they have nothing to announce. So they are aware that fans want a remake. They actually want to do it themselves, but they have no news about it. So hopefully this means that someday we do get a remake of Dragon Quest III. For those that don't know, Dragon Quest III originally came out on the original Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. And basically it's considered to be one of the best Dragon Quest games, along with like 5 and 8 as fan favorites. So it's about time that they re-release this classic game for modern systems, so I really hope they make a remake of this game. Dragon Ball FighterZ was announced for the Nintendo Switch at E3, as you all probably saw. But additional news came out this week. The game is coming out on September 28th in America and Europe. So if you live in North America or Europe, you're going to be able to buy this game in September. And there's also going to be pre-order DLC. So if you want to play as Super Saiyan Blue, Vegeta, or Goku, you know, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, as they dubbed it in the anime. Still kind of confused about that. Most fans just refer to it as Super Saiyan Blue because of the blue hair. But the correct terminology is Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. So that's a little bit confusing. I still call it Super Saiyan Blue, but if you pre-order the game, you will be able to basically get this. So Vegeta and Goku are pre-order DLC. And the Switch version is going to come with all the characters released previously, already unlocked and in the game. So that's really nice for people that haven't picked up the original version of Dragon Ball FighterZ yet. And if you have a Nintendo Switch, I recommend picking this game up. I played the beta or demo, and I really enjoyed my time with it. Michael Ansel, the guy behind the upcoming game Beyond Good and Evil 2, clarified some things about the game's development. He said that progress is moving along, but that do not expect anything in the next year or so. There should be a beta at the end of 2019, but the game will still be a long ways from release. So yeah, it seems like Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still a long way off, and Ubisoft has a lot to do with the game development-wise still. Kingdom Hearts 3. So more Kingdom Hearts 3 news came out this week. Apparently, Tetsuya Nomura was interviewed and he talked about his plans with Kingdom Hearts 3, and he mentioned that they are not planning on having a season pass like they did with Final Fantasy XV for Kingdom Hearts 3, but they do plan on having DLC release sometime after the game comes out. So I guess we're going to be able to have maybe a new world or story mode, something like along that. It would be nice if they added some bosses maybe. For those that don't know, Kingdom Hearts previously would be released like on the PlayStation 2. Kingdom Hearts came out, and then shortly after in Japan they released Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. And then when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, they released Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix shortly after. And basically the Final Mix versions added, a lot more story content, some extra bosses, harder difficulty. They changed some enemy designs, added some more story content, stuff like that. So perhaps Tetsuya Nomura, while he's working on Kingdom Hearts 3, he's probably thinking of doing something similar with the DLC. Like maybe a year after Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, they announce the Final Mix DLC. And this basically adds, some new bosses or new enemy types into the game, maybe some additional story content. So I'm really interested to see what they do with this. This is nothing new for the series, but I'm still glad that they opted out of having a season pass, because I guess they feel that having too much extra content would take away from the main game. So I like that. Next, we have some Final Fantasy VII news. Finally, some Final Fantasy VII news. So, according to Tetsuya Nomura, the director of Final Fantasy VII, as well as Kingdom Hearts 3, he says the development on the remake is moving forward very well. It's going well, so at least it's moving forward. He said that they are already in their early stages of development, and they're trying to incorporate a lot more story content and backstory for the characters of Avalanche. For those that don't know, at the beginning of Final Fantasy VII, you meet some of the members of Avalanche. They're a kind of like a rogue terrorist-style group, and you kind of meet them and learn about them. So I guess this time around they want to give the characters a part of Avalanche, this group, a larger backstory and have you feel more attachment to those characters in some way. So yeah, according to Tetsuya Nomura, that's exactly what they're doing with this remake of the original game. So I'm curious to see how that turns out. I always felt that they could have done a little bit more with the members from Avalanche in Final Fantasy VII. So I hope that they do them justice in this remake. And lastly, Sony announced a special PlayStation Greatest Hits line for the PlayStation 4. I think it's called PlayStation Hits. So Sony has been doing this since the PlayStation 1. Whenever a game on a system sells 1 million copies or multiple million copies, it becomes a greatest hits game. And they did this on the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. And now they're doing it on the PlayStation 4. So very popular games like Uncharted 4, Bloodborne, Metal Gear Solid 5, Yakuza 0, just to name a few, are going to be part of this PlayStation Hits lineup. And what this means is the games are going to be available for a very cheap price of $19.99. So $20, you'll be able to pick up these brand new PlayStation 4 games. Now, the only drawback or problem about these games is that the box art is usually ugly because it has a huge label in red or some other color at the top of the box that says PlayStation Hits. So if you're a collector and you like to collect games, a lot of people kind of prefer to try to track down the original box art for the game just because they don't want PlayStation Hits written on their game. But if you simply want to play the game and you don't care about the artwork on the box or collecting games, then these versions are completely fine to buy and play because, let's be honest, games are for playing, and these games are amazing. So if you recently got a PlayStation 4 and maybe you're strapped for cash or you don't have much on you, consider picking up some of these $20 games because a lot of them are really good. Bloodborne is great. Uncharted 4 is a lot of fun. Yakuza 0, Metal Gear Solid 5 is such an amazing game, so definitely pick these games up if you haven't played them yet. And yeah, that's all the news for this week, so thanks for listening or watching this ASMR Gaming News video. I hope you found it relaxing,